Hey everyone, this isn't a typical gear review video or shootout at all. We'll be taking a look at a few different delay devices for guitar players, and a few of the units that I've amassed over 30 years of doing this. And along the way, perhaps we'll learn something really valuable together about why the internet quite possibly might be making you suck a lot more at guitar, what's wrong with a lot of the YouTube guitar community and content creators, in hopes that this is not the most politically incorrect, abrasive, inflammatory gear review ever. Here's a Stratocaster through a tube tape delay. The Rolls Royce. And I'm not going to tell you to spend a whole bunch of money that frankly may be a stretch for a lot of people right now, just because somebody at a PR firm gave me the latest greatest pedal and they're trying to sell it to you. Perhaps we'll learn something about how these devices actually work and why we should even care. Everything in this video I bought and paid for myself. This is all stuff that I've used and my true philosophy of gear. And I think frankly it's egocentric when people get on the internet and they tell you how much something costs as if they're so important that they have this amazing piece of equipment. If I suck, I still suck through the great equipment. If I don't suck and I play good, I could almost be playing through not anything, but a lot of things that would get the job done. This is all stuff that I've used and my true philosophy of gear. Far be it from me to be the arbiter, unless we're talking about the Dallas Arbiter Fuzzface. But in fact, I digress. You get to be the arbiter, Fuzzface, Rangemaster, ooh. As the late great Ted Green said, when I was about 12 years old as a student in a guitar workshop at UCLA, question your teachers. And I extend that to anyone on YouTube. Now, I only speak for myself personally. The people that earn my trust about guitars are people who play really good. So a lot of the content creators, in my experience, they're teaching Hendrix wrong, they're showing you wrong things, they're spouting off about all this gear as though they are sources of great wisdom. Now this is compounded by the fact that the internet tends to turn itself into a horrible echo chamber. Well, the biggest problem with that is it's not the kind of echo chamber that we're talking about today. We want to look at the echo chambers that sound great, like this. Ooh. The Tube Echo Chamber. Ooh. This was one of the last designs, in fact I think it may have been the last design, by Mike Battle, who was the man who designed the original Echoplexus. And I think it was modeled after the EP2. And we'll talk a bit more about it and some of the other devices that I've used throughout this video. But the Tube Echo Chamber, or really any number of other echo devices, is what we're after here. This right here is the T-Rex replica. And I specifically purchased this to have a really great sounding, viable alternative to the tape echo. Now around late 2015, I went into a guitar shop with some per diem money, and I was thoroughly impressed by the Strymon. The El Capistan, the tape echo. Some of the other units we'll be looking at include the built-in digital delay in the Tech 21 Fly Rig, and in full disclosure, I was given this unit. The Alesis MIDI Verb 4, it's certainly not a TC Electronic 2290, but if I had to use that, I could. And you're so much better off working with what you have and knowing how to set it. If you're in the Universal Audio ecosystem, we'll also be taking a look at the precision delay. Along the way of making this video, I have a friend who found out what I was up to and liked the idea of it, so he asked if I would include a couple of his units. This is the venerable Line 6 DL4. If you rewind the clock about 20 years, everyone had the DL4. Rounding things out, we'll be taking a look at the MXR carbon copy. The thing that I want to stress about this is that there's no tap tempo. And I really wanted to include something in this video that doesn't have a tap tempo, just to show you that prior to everything pretty much having a tap tempo, you had to know how to twiddle knobs and get a delay sounding great. And now for the actual shootout. Let's go ahead and listen to 20 different delays. That's everything shown so far. And on the line 6 pedal, that's 12 out of the 16 sounds in it, the 16 models included in it. Now, what are the 4 that I left off of this? I left off the stereo delays, and the ping pong, and the loop sampler because I wasn't going to loop anything, and I left off the rhythmic delays. Now here it is in a mix. In no way whatsoever is this a creative or artistic statement at all. I like to set delays to a quarter note based on the tempo of the music as a starting point to adjust them in any direction from there. You probably won't live at the quarter note delay, but you're going to use it as a true north of sorts. So you need to match your delay to the beat. So for example, if I turn on the click track in Pro Tools, I'm going to pick up the delay and I'm going to start twiddling knobs. So imagine that I start here, and I don't know where to go. So I start here and I go, well, that's obviously way too fast. Don't want that, and let's just all the way up. That doesn't sound very good. Sounds like I'm playing with a bad drummer. That's not quite right. And you might hear things that you think are useful, but they're not on the beat. I want you to get exactly on the beat. So that's still too fast. And you just keep twiddling. That's getting closer. So what that tells me is that I'm in the ballpark, but it's still a little bit too fast. So I need to lengthen the delay time. It's almost there now. I'm right about there. Now at that point, is it musical? And I would go so far as to say, in this case, no. It's drenched in too much delay. I look at this and I go, that mix knob is like at 50-50. Let's bring it back. So now there's going to be more dry signal and less delayed signal. Okay, I like that, but I also hear distinct repeats, isolated. And I hear about 6 of them. What if I don't want 6 of them? So I'm going to go here to the regeneration knob, and that's going to control on this particular pedal the number of repeats. I'm going to bring that down a little bit. I kind of like that. That's about 3 audible ones and a very almost inaudible 4th. And I'm hearing isolated the delay, but it's not overpowering the notes. And at this stage, without a tap tempo, look and take notice of where exactly that knob is set. So I think about these as though it's a clock on the wall. If straight up is noon and straight down is 6 o'clock, where is this? This is, to me, at about 2 o'clock. Now you might say to me, that's great, but I want to play a ballad, and when the tempo gets slower, I can't find the quarter note on my pedal. Point taken. Like, what if we slow this down? So this is a quarter note equals 75 beats per minute. And by the way, when you're setting it, turn everything up. You know, I turned it down for musical purposes once we had the actual time set in, but turn it up when you're adjusting it so you can audibly hear where things are at. So you go, that's too fast, and it sounds like I'm falling down a flight of stairs. So I'm going to try turning this all the way. It's still too fast. Turn it all the way. It's still too fast. This pedal doesn't have a long enough delay time to match a quarter note at 75 beats per minute. Bummer. But not all is lost. So what you can deduce from that is you might want something that's a digital delay that has a longer range of times. Now the T-Rex replica is spectacular. But even using something else, if you can't do the quarter note, big deal. Go to the 8th note, so it's going to be twice as fast. So instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, you want now the repeat. Could it go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... I bet it could, because that's faster. So let's look for the 8th note on here. Okay, that's way too fast. It's right about there. Yeah, it's right there. So I take notice of where is that. That delay knob is at right about, I mean, what is that? Maybe 12:10 or 12:15, somewhere around there. If you're plotting it like it's a clock on the wall. That's pretty good. And now I dial back the regeneration so it's not as many repeats and bring the mix knob down. Now, as soon as there's other stuff going on, we may adjust these knobs further. We've got the delay time set to the 8th note, and from there, later on we'll talk about other things you can do to adjust from that, but mix and regeneration might get adjusted once there's other instruments going on. You know what? I just don't like the time of it now. I just don't like the 8th note. It feels a little bit like it needs something else. So, how can we adjust from the 8th note to somewhere else? Well, you can adjust the delay to any subdivision of the beat. We don't know where the quarter note is because 75 BPM is just too slow. So, you can go about this a different way. So let's go to a 16th note. So we want it to be faster. Instead of the beat broken up into 2 parts, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, we want it broken up into 4 parts now. 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and we're looking for the echo that falls on the 16th note, 1E. So we want to find what's twice as fast as the 8th note. If this is 8th, let's just start twiddling the delay knob. So we're going to have to shorten the delay time. That doesn't sound good. Sounds closer, but it still doesn't sound right. I think I'm getting in the ballpark. Right there. At this point, take stock of where that delay knob is. It's not 9 o'clock, but it's kind of in between 9 and 10 o'clock. To get it twice as fast, I had to go back from about 12:15 or 12:10 to 9:30. So what is that, like? Let's just say it's about 2 hours and 45 minutes. As long as the taper of this potentiometer is even, it's a fairly safe bet that if I now want to make the delay time longer, so I want it to fall on the 16th note that is after the 8th. If this is the 8th, and I want it to go da, 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 if I go 2 hours and 40 or 2 hours and 45 minutes from 12:10-ish, and I should be in the ballpark of what I want now. Let's put that on with a click and see if this theory works. Let's just try it without even playing. We'll adjust it as we need to, but if that's going to be 3 o'clock, somewhere around here is going to be the golden. So, that's pretty good. This is the notorious edge setting, but we're not going to do this at all like the edge. If you play 8th notes with the delay set to that, and you have the mix knob right about the middle, then it should create a steady stream of... Let's see if I like that a little better. So I think it's fairly obvious that I was playing a whole lot better there. My touch was better on the guitar. Things just sounded better. And that's not anything to gloss over. The only reason to buy gear at all, any gear, is if that gear inspires you. And then the only reason to use that gear at all is if the sound of that gear at a given moment in time and the way that you set that gear inspires you. And then you should hopefully sink into the music and just play the guitar. You're not trying to play the gear. I get it that like it's a central part of certain approaches to guitar playing, particularly since the 1980s. I get that you can incorporate it compositionally into pieces of music. Yeah, that's fine and well, but make sure you can play the guitar along the way. If you're just playing the pedal, you're just playing the pedal. When you hear me playing there, it might not be that obvious that there's a delay on the guitar in the mix where I liked setting it. But you solo the guitar and it's all over the place. You hear the delay like night and day. So you might have a really good question, and I want to answer that question before it's asked. Why use a delay at all then? What's the point? Because when you set a delay like that, it's like liquefying the guitar tone. I'll leave you with this. So far as the tap tempo goes, my issue is not that I think they're bad to use or that you should actively run away from any pedal with a tap tempo. You shouldn't. One of my favorite pedals is the replica, and another one is the Strymon. But the tap tempo assumes that your foot, when you tap that tempo in, is in perfect time, that the switch is working absolutely perfectly, and probably the greatest of that being the potential for human error. If you don't get that perfect, then you're going to be a little bit out of time. And with a longer delay time, that can pose some issues, especially if you have the mix knob higher and you're distinctly hearing the repeats back. So it's just good to know how to set a delay the old school way. And I've found that you can generally get a lot closer to perfection with the actual time you want doing it that way. And then just make a note of where that is on the knob, and then you're set to go. So meet me in part 2, where we will continue to vastly simplify all of this. If you haven't hit the notification bell and subscribe button, be sure to do that so you'll be the first to know when I upload a new video. And I'll look forward to seeing you in the next installment. Ah, yes, very subtle. Very tasteful. I could just listen to that all day. Now what if I twiddle the delay knob? I think, oh, that might even be more tasty. Nothing lasts forever. I'd given up on delays until I found my dream pedal. I'd given up on delays until I found my dream pedal. I'd given up on delays until I found my dream pedal. I'd given up on delays until I found my dream pedal. I'd given up on delays until I found my dream pedal. I'd given up on delays until I found my dream pedal.